And I'll ask you a Sandy question or a Reverend Sandy question. Do you have the feelings for it? Do you feel with your entire being joy unspeakable?
Good morning. I'm Leroy White. I am your celebration lead this morning. I would like to introduce our speaker and musician for today. I would like to welcome back our wonderful transition minister, Rev Sandra Butler, who has been an inspiration to us all with her messages of hope and courage. We look forward to today's message, Unspeakable Joy, and as always, she gives us her best. Secondly, I'd like to welcome back our former director of music, Greg Shupe, who is a local singer-songwriter who will be ministering to us through his music played on his guitar. Greg always blesses us with his inspiring songs. We look forward to hearing him sing this morning.
I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of is love. I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of is love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy. Feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. Start my day with peace. Start my day with joy. I feel that sweet release. Start my day with love. I start my day with peace. Start my day with joy. I feel that sweet release. Start my day with love. I start my day with peace. Start my day with joy. Feel that sweet release. The breath of God is breathing me. I'm resting in the breath of God. I know that all is well. The grace of God is gracing me. I'm resting in the grace of God. I know that all is well. The joy of God is joy in me. I'm resting in the joy of God. I know that all is well. The love of God is is loving me. I'm resting in the love of God. I know that all is well. The breath of God is breathing me. I'm resting in the breath of God. I know that all is well. I know that all is well. I know that all is well.
Good morning. Let me just take a moment. And the moment is filled with the gratitude that I have for just being in your presence. And the gratitude is one of, what is the word? I think I'll just use the title of what we were going to deal with and co-create today. Unspeakable joy. Gratitude is not unspeakable joy, but gratitude can be filled with unspeakable joy. And there is a difference. Gratitude is something that we as human beings are very good at. We really are. Most of us are grateful for whatever comes our way, except when it gets a little rocky. We then fall into this measurable gratitude, okay? And I do it all the time by saying, which some people call spiritual bypass. I go right to the lesson when I'm faced with a challenge that says, okay, now what's the lesson in that? I know if I look hard enough, I'm going to find the lesson in this ugly situation or in this person that's making me nuts. Who's making you nuts, Sandra? Who? Who does that? You get my drift here. But for these moments, these precious moments that we have together, and I mean we, right here, right now, in the universe of the God of our being, co-creating. Please don't ever forget that. Life is a co-creation. We do it together. Whether we wish to all the time or not, is not something that God or spirit, the God of your being, has any concept of, nor is he a he. The spirit of love. Some of us call that God. That spirit of love flows in and through each of us. Sometimes we are in total agreement with that. And that is what I hope that our co-creation reflects today. The total agreement of that includes all the challenges. In other words, we are divine. We have that divinity. We have a humanity. And the humanity spends a lot of time, depending upon our thinking very often, pulling us away from a clear, clean practice, understanding, and way of being called unspeakable joy. So what is unspeakable joy? You can take it apart and do a couple things with it. It's a phrase. I have it here. And some of us do our talks this way. I don't often, but I do with this one. Because I changed the wording on unspeakable joy. It never was unspeakable joy. Down through the ages, it comes from a background both with the ancients, but also with the Black community. It is joy unspeakable. That is the phrase that was passed down and is still passed down. Joy comes first, unspeakable. In other words, I'm going to put, and we are going to co-create with a lot of words here this morning that I hope to minimize. You know, I'm not necessarily famous for that. So I'm going to go with my co-creative process, and you're going to infill with your generosity of spirit that says, shh, or be still. Because that is the absolute essence of unspeakable joy is the silence. However, it is from that silence that we move out of that silence, which is also a form of prayer, but it is where we meet the God of our being and say yes to life. And that infuses us with a joy that goes beyond the definition of joy that we're getting out of the dictionary. And that definition of joy out of the dictionary is it's a phrase and it's describing a profound overwhelm and transcendent spiritual state of happiness. Yowza. Deep divine peace beyond human expression remains steadfast even during earthly trials. We've got some points here to work with in the depth of understanding as we co-create just what is unspeakable joy, or joy unspeakable. It is more than just a sense of joy that goes beyond words, okay? I don't have the words for that. And I'll ask you a Sandy question, or a Reverend Sandy question. Do you have the feelings for it? Do you feel with your entire being joy unspeakable? Yes, you do. And I can say yes profoundly and profusely because I've seen most of you in action. And what I haven't seen at our time together, I've seen in our times together over Zoom. And it comes in various forms, but it is different than just a sense of happiness. And I say just a sense of happiness. Why do I say just? Because happiness is a human thing. We like happiness. We're happy to be happy. We'll tell everybody we're happy when even we're not happy. What is that about? Why do we do that? There is no joy in that. What is the reason we tell people we're happy when we're not? Oh, well, it makes for a better world. No, it doesn't. It's inauthentic, it's not clear, and it's not the truth. Don't do it, says my mother to me. I was a good girl in the sense that, about maybe 12, I told everybody I was happy. Man, was that not the truth. And then we have part of lifetimes where we spend telling people, okay, that's not quite the truth. I'll find another word for it, okay? I'm good today. I'm fine today. Oh, I love fine. Fine's a beauty. Fine covers the waterfront, and it lets us all stand there just in a little bit of, quote, chaotic peace that doesn't allow the conversation to go any further unless there's somebody that's really interested in knowing what your fine means. So when we speak of joy, let's get it right, okay? Because happiness is something that in one portion that I cut out here, happiness is something, let me get it here. I consider happiness different from joy because happiness needs a reason. Really, happiness needs a reason. Well, I tell people I'm happy all the time. Now, only once in a while do I get a person that says, well, why? They just want you to be happy, they'll be happy with you, and we'll all carry on. Why do we do that? Talk about giving a shellacking to a very fine word. You can do a little better. We can all do a little better. And we can do a great big better when we kick it up a notch and move from the happiness, I'm fine, and nobody says you can't do that, don't do it. Well, I just did. But there's a better way of moving, and the better way of moving, friends, is unspeakable joy. Now, joy is a word that I particularly like, and most of us consider joy a step bigger than happiness. We get that joy, you don't have to have a reason to have joy. Joy is a gift, a spiritual gift that all you and we have to do is simply allow it to come from its wellspring, which is God. And that allowance word, folks, that's like stepping over a big trench. We have a tendency to fall right in the trench and not get to the other side because for some reason we as human beings, here it comes, here she comes with it, limit our thinking, and our way of being in this world. And we do it for a lot of reasons, fear being a big one, doubt, anger. We can run the gamut, but we have a choice, and the choice is even beyond happy. Let's go for joy. And then within the joy is joy unspeakable, joy that is embodied. Oh, there's the nice word I like. We're embodied with the divine, and unspeakable, unspeakable joy comes from our divinity. It's a flooding of our entire being, both human, soul, and the mind. There's nothing we can do or think about when we're in unspeakable joy. Nothing except be in the joy. And then take it another step. This is where I do love it. Be the joy. Oh, you mean I got to do more with that? You keep drilling it down, Reverend Sandy. What's that about? Because we're giving it a superficial start. And if you want to go deeper, if you want to expand your very being here on earth and in the levels of consciousness that we walk around in, this is one beautiful way to do it. And we like to do it. Who doesn't like to be joyful? Well, I'll tell you, there are folks that don't care for joy 1 nanosecond. They would like to be opposite of joy. And they're not interested in some of the footwork that goes with discovering just that unspeakable joy. And here's some of the footwork. You have to be ready to receive. You've all heard that expression before. They've written millions of songs about it. Yes, and how do we become ready to receive? By finding the presence of God in its fullness in you. Again, we're expanding consciousness. It's not just finding the presence of God, it's the presence of God in its fullness. What does that mean? Well, some of the mystics and the biblical scholars call that, and we read about it in a talk I did before in the book of Joy, and it was called a generosity of being. Some call it spiritual generosity. And that is what we know as going the extra mile. All right, doing something for someone else, being in service, in joy to someone else. I have a woman who lives next door to me. She has a small dog. She works very hard, 2 jobs. And she has a friend who I thought was pretty extraordinary, who comes and walks the dog every day at noon. How do I know that? Because I'm going out when she's coming in, usually. And so there's this. And she will tell me over time how much this whole concept of walking the dog at the same time every single day stinks. That's her word, not mine. And so I had just an opportunity to say one day to her, well, maybe if you looked at it a different way. Oh, Reverend Sandy, what is that about? You gone to preaching in the garage? Come on. No, I hadn't. I'd gone to fixing. Fix, fix, fix. How can I make this woman feel better about what she thinks stinks? When in fact, what she's doing is giving a part of her very soul, her joy, away. Ah, you thought I were going to say to the woman, the other lady, whose dog it is? No, it never made it to the other lady. She gave it away before it even got there. The dog didn't get it either. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the whole stinking thing, including my fix it, just said to joy, take a back seat. But here's the beauty of joy. Joy doesn't take a back seat. Joy is a gift that's with us because it is the love of God fully present, and it's in us because we are the love of God. Not always fully present, okay? Including Sandy, who wants to fix the lady. None of us are fully present. That's our humanity, raring up to go. But the joy part of us, the God part of us, which is fully present, is always present. It never leaves us, but we leave it, or we discredit it. Or I'm not going to say in the middle of the garage, well, maybe if you looked at it a different way, or maybe, whatever maybe is. The fact of the matter is, it wasn't the truth of my fully present God. And she was, the other side of the back 40 with the stinking part of who she was. You understand what I'm saying? I'm bringing that humanity and the divinity together. And sometimes we don't come up with unspeakable joy. We're lucky. I say lucky, I don't believe in luck. We come up with bupkis. We come up with our humanity full blown and not well thought out. But that's us, okay? That's not a judgment. That's just how it is. And it's in all of us. But we, all of us, myself absolutely included, have a choice. And here's the thing about joy. Joy is present in the heartache as well as the good. There is no choosing. Joy is always present. How do we choose to receive it? That's a gift, my friends. And what you do with this gift, many times I have said, as I did to the woman, how about you just rethink how you feel? I would say to you all, no, I've learned that joy is rethinking. However, what comes first is, how are you coming from your heart? The heart leads, not the mind. And we human beings want that mind, especially that ego part of our mind, to lead away, charge off, go and do it. I know best. I've done it before 1,000 times, so I know how to do it. Ah, there you go. Wallow in that ego. Don't go too far. Don't go too far, or you'll end up staying there. But that's not true. What you'll end up doing is receiving the joy at one point where joy and awe, that would be awesome, as the kids say, come together. And in order for awesome and joy to come together, surrender is necessary. You understand? Some of you will say, whoa, who snuck in surrender? I didn't hear that at all from the get-go, and you won't, because I snuck it in. Because you cannot have unspeakable joy without awe and surrender. Awe and surrender are two very precious points of consciousness that will open that joy to newfound ways of being the God of your being in the human life that we live. Here's the thing with awe and joy. They always don't work well together, but you can't do one without the other. They are dance partners where sometimes the joy of our being allows them to dance with joy. And some of you will say, I'm not quite getting that part, Reverend Sandy. That's because all of us want to skip over that awe and surrender part. That's very human. We just want to go straight to joy, okay? I'll give it over. I'll surrender. I'll be in awe. Well, good. Then you'll understand that unspeakable joy, that's the joy of the fire of God within us. That's a stand up and I am joy, and I will share my joy. Many times that will show up in times of challenge, in times of flat out, this is not good. This is beyond challenge. This is life doing life, and I didn't count on it. This is life, and I'm not sure I can do this. I'm not sure that this isn't going to just take me over. Well, try and move it back. Have you awe? Have you surrender? Or are you still complaining about not getting to the end goal, which is unspeakable joy or joy unspeakable? You see, as human beings, we like to rush right to the goal. Let's get to the finish line. How many games have you watched over the last season of football, of World Cup, of call it whatever you want in sports? Get to the game, win the game. My friends, when you have a concept of unspeakable joy, you are working with understanding awe. What does awe mean? Awe means I'm stunned. I am absolutely stunned. You remember we talked about epiphany? You have an epiphany and you are stunned. Your whole world has changed. And when you surrender to that awe, you have said, I let go of the limited thinking, of the lack of feeling, of the no, I won't attitude, or no, I'm not good enough. No, I don't have enough. You, my friends, we, my friends, have all the joy that we can fully express if we simply allow it. Okay, so how to sustain this joy? Well, first of all, I'm going to give you another little example. This is a little example from my own life. It's a human example, but it kind of puts it right down there on the asphalt, which is where I almost went. And it came like this. I was coming out, gathering some papers together and going to get into my car. And I have a number of things that I carry in order to make that happen. Not only a purse, but I got books, I got papers. Well, one of those lovely little papers that I really needed, not for this talk, but for another one, fell to the ground just as I was putting my hand on the door to open the door. The paper starts to slide under the door. It is about, I don't know, that day it must have been about 94, 95. We were just starting into the dome thing of building heat, okay? I could not bend down physically to get my little envelope, my piece of paper. I was frustrated. There was no joy anywhere in Reverend Sandy trying to get to that paper. So I decided I would hold on to the cane. I would try and bend down, and I'd go for the piece of paper. Why am I telling you this? Because you can fairly see it. Some of you have seen other people do it. It's called, I'm not going to ask for any help. I'm going to do this myself. Oh, there's no surrender in that. There's just a lot of hot air, both from me and in the air outside. And then, as I'm just about to get there, I see out of my little eye that I spy with as a kid, a family getting out of their car parked behind me. I just notice it. And as I'm going for the piece of paper, a gentleman comes up and he says to me, "May I help you?" And I said, much to my great, enduring, loving surprise, yes. I was ticked off. I was sweaty as get out, but I knew that the surrender was there. And I was in awe. First of all, the man asked me, "May I help you?" You know how the people sometimes come up and just help you whether they asked you or not. God loved them, truly. This man didn't. He reached down, he got my little piece of paper with no problem whatsoever. I, of course, was still resonating with the yes, much in my own rethinking of the whole, not quite there, Sandy, with Unspeakable Joy, but you said yes, so we'll give you credit for that. And he turned to me, he handed me the piece of paper, he looked me straight in the eye, and he smiled. And he walked in with his family, and that was the end of my little example. That, my friends, is a man who's walking around with unspeakable joy. He asked me if he could help. He picked it up and he smiled directly at me. He shared his goodness, his joy, his love of whatever it is that he loves, meaning God, with me. And he did it right there in an everyday situation that there are thousands of, that you have, that I have, that go on and on and on, and they happen over and over. I was not fully present, needless to say. He was. He was fully present with the God of his being. He was fully divine in that moment. There was no words spoken. That is unspeakable joy, because the joy that I felt in saying yes, once I got my head together, I did it. I said, yes, I'm going to ask for help. Someday I'll tell you, we'll do another whole talk on that. Some of us are not real good at receiving. We're not real good at saying, yes, you can help me. We're real good at giving, which by itself is not acceptable. Giving and not accepting and knowing receiving, that's another talk altogether. We're back on joy, unspeakable joy. He had it and he shared it with me, and I had it. I mean, I'm talking to you about it, and it's like a week later. So unspeakable joy happens in ordinary ways, but you're fully present when it's there. I stepped away and got in my car. I was in awe. I think I still am in awe. And I surrendered to his help. to his gift of the love of God in action. That surrender part is absolutely essential, and the awe was right there to meet it and greet it in the fullness of the joy within. That's unspeakable joy, or joy unspeakable, because not a word was said except yes. And I'm not even sure that was my yes. I think that was the presence of God saying, yes, for God's sake. You know what I mean by that? Yeah. So I'm going to leave us with this at this point, just to so you remember, not the little incident, but the awe and joy part, and to allow for that joyness, that fullness of God in you. We talk about activity of Holy Spirit. That's one example. You have the examples of using that fullness of joy, understanding the God within, and working to co-create that with all that you meet, meaning everyone, meaning all situations, not just the good ones, not just the nice people, not just the people that agree with us, but everyone. And my friends, that's a lifetime journey. The journey that we are on, I believe, is a pilgrimage, and it's toward the center of our hearts. I want the mind to always be in alignment with our hearts. Hearts first. And you know, hearts first sometimes takes its own little rap every once in a while. And I say to you, no, heart first. Tell the mind to get in line with the heart, and together with the soul, they move forward. So that's really what I wanted to tell you. I also want to remind you that unspeakable joy, or joy unspeakable, I read this and I liked it and I'm sharing it with you. That's the joy that lives comfortably in the shout as it does in the silence. That joy, unspeakable joy, joy unspeakable, is our strength. And we are needy. I don't like that word, but I'm going to throw it out there, for our strength, our courage, our love of God. Because, my friends, we are not healed. We are working on it. We are living it. And we have the joy to accomplish the fullness of a complete healing. And I'm not just talking about us. I'm talking about all of the universe that says all the time, joy, joy to the world, unspeakable joy. So now I'm going to bless you and say, let us move into meditation. Thank you, sweet spirit. Always thank you. For it is in the gratitude that we say yes, that we say it and move through the gratitude of life. And so for our time today in meditation, I'm going to ask you now to close your eyes if you're willing, or not. I ask you that you sit back in your chairs and open your palms to receive. For this is a time of meditation that sometimes is called a contemplation. When we contemplate, we remember what comes from the silence. What is the joy that is part of our nature that always comes from the silence? And in order for us to think on those terms, and in that way, during our short meditation, I'm going to ask you to just now, with your eyes closed, your open palms, ready to receive and to give back what you have received, to choose a word, one word, and choose that word from your heart. And please do it now. Do not think about it. Choose the word. And as we move through this time of co-creation, if you start to wonder, you're not thinking, you're wishing, oh, when will this be finished? Take joy in the fact that it will never finish. And if you need be, go back to the word that you just selected. Say it silently. And then move again until you hear the word Amen. And so we begin. We have chosen our word. It is with us in our hearts. And as we hold that in our hearts, we give thanks for this time, and we express a quiet, unspeakable joy that knows the blessing of joy. It is a time that we have here and now that we are joy-filled to be a part of, and to know that we will share that joy in our own self, in the selves of others, and we will be in service to God and to our fellow man. Our first two commandments, and the one that Jesus gave to all of us. Love the God of your being with all your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself. And as we contemplate that, in whatever word we have chosen, we do so in a time of silence.
When the walls come tumbling down, I choose joy, I choose joy. The world stops spinning round, I choose joy, I choose joy. When my heart won't seem to move, when my music's lost its groove, when I have too much to prove, I choose joy, I choose joy. When hate is all I see, I choose joy, I choose joy. When fear won't let me be, I choose joy, I choose joy. When betrayal and lies hide the light from my eyes, I look up to the skies and I choose joy, I choose joy. Joy, 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 I choose joy. Joy, 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 I choose joy. In this moment right here, I choose joy, I choose joy. The ones that I hold dear, I choose joy, I choose joy. To be who I must be, for the light to shine in me, for everybody to be free, I choose joy, I choose joy. Joy, 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 I choose joy. Joy, 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 I choose joy. I find a stable ground, peace and hope abound. I hear the sweetest sound, the change of come unbound. Love is all around when I choose joy. In this moment right here, I choose joy, I choose joy. For the ones that I hold dear, I choose joy, I choose joy. To be who I must be, for the light to shine in me, for everybody to be free, I choose joy, I choose joy. body will be free when we choose joy. We choose joy. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you, Greg. That was great. Super. And thank you, to Reverend Sandy, for a beautiful message. It's a surrender to joy, and it's a the awe and just the fullness of God in us is joy, and that's a beautiful message. And Greg, once again, your music is fantastic. Thank you for sharing it with us.